The narcissist who weaponizes religious identity presents a uniquely insidious challenge because they cloak their manipulation in the language of virtue, making it nearly impossible to challenge their behavior without appearing to attack their faith. Yet there exists a remarkably simple test that cuts through their carefully constructed spiritual facade in mere seconds. Observe their response when someone questions their behavior while affirming their faith. The genuine believer accepts critique gracefully, understanding that faithfulness includes accountability and humility. The narcissist using religion as camouflage erupts with righteous indignation, claiming persecution while treating any questioning of their actions as an attack on their divine connection itself. The armor of false righteousness. The narcissist wrapped in religious identity discovers an extraordinarily effective shield against accountability because spiritual authority in many communities goes largely unquestioned. They position themselves as more devoted, more enlightened, or more connected to divine truth than those around them, creating a hierarchy where challenging their behavior becomes tantamount to challenging sacred principles themselves. This strategic positioning makes their victims hesitant to trust their own perceptions or speak out against mistreatment. Their religious performance includes all the external markers of devotion, public displays of faith, eloquent prayers, memorized scripture, and visible service. Yet these demonstrations serve their image rather than reflecting genuine spiritual transformation. They master the vocabulary of humility while radiating superiority, speak endlessly of grace while extending none to those who disappoint them, and preach forgiveness while maintaining detailed mental records of others' transgressions. The test reveals itself in how they respond when their behavior contradicts their professed values. The authentic person of faith acknowledges the gap between their ideals and actions with genuine humility, viewing it as an opportunity for growth. The narcissist reframes any observation of this gap as persecution, spiritual attack, or evidence of the questioner's lack of understanding, immediately redirecting focus from their behavior to the supposed inadequacy of whoever dared notice the contradiction. The weaponization of spiritual concepts. The narcissist transforms religious teachings into instruments of control, using concepts meant to encourage growth and compassion as tools for manipulation and subjugation. They invoke forgiveness to demand their victims accept repeated harm without consequence, twist submission into absolute obedience to their will, and redefine unconditional love as tolerance for their abusive behavior. Every spiritual principle becomes perverted in service of maintaining their power. Their mastery of religious language allows them to frame their victims' healthy boundaries as lack of faith, their resistance to manipulation as spiritual rebellion, and their need for reciprocity as selfish worldliness. They position themselves as victims of those who won't enable their dysfunction, claiming they're being persecuted for their righteousness when others simply refuse to accept mistreatment cloaked in Scripture. The 7-second test exposes this weaponization instantly, suggests they're struggling in an area where their behavior clearly contradicts their professed beliefs. The genuine believer receives this observation with thoughtful consideration, even gratitude for caring enough to speak truth. The narcissist responds with immediate defensiveness, shifting into victim mode or attacking the questioner's motives, spiritual maturity, or right to observe anything about their walk of faith. The absence of authentic transformation. Genuine spiritual practice produces observable changes in how someone treats others: increased patience, growing empathy, softening pride, and expanding capacity for self-reflection. The narcissist's faith, however elaborate their knowledge or impressive their service record, produces no such transformation. Their relationships remain characterized by the same manipulation, control, and emotional abuse that would exist without their religious identity. This absence of fruit reveals the fundamental hollowness of their spiritual claims. They can articulate complex theological concepts, yet demonstrate no capacity for the basic kindness their faith explicitly commands. They lead studies, serve visibly, and speak with apparent authority while leaving trails of damaged people who were harmed under the guise of spiritual guidance or godly authority. The test becomes unmistakable when someone points out this disconnect between profession and practice. The genuine believer, while perhaps initially defensive, eventually engages with the observation because authentic faith includes welcoming examination and accountability. The narcissist treats the observation as an unforgivable offense, responding with such disproportionate outrage that it reveals their religious identity as costume rather than conviction, a tool for control rather than a path of genuine transformation that would naturally produce humility, accountability, and authentic love for others.